Hey, Darnell, what's going on? What's going on? Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope you're having a good morning or a good day or a good afternoon. I don't know what it is for you, but whatever it is, I hope it's going good. So, today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about a subject that's going to come up a few times during November. November is what they call National Career Development Month. As part of my job as a counselor is to one help you guys get through the daily problems of life that's gonna mess you up and gonna cause you not to be the best student you can be, but two, to kind of help you figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life, right? And be able to help you prepare for that. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what the difference between a job and a career is, and why you might want a career or why you might want a job. Okay. So to do that, let me turn my screen around and present it to you so you could see what I'm seeing, and we can go through this slideshow. Okay. Hold on a second. All right. So right here, I have our slideshow is called "Live Life Today, but Prepare for Tomorrow." Okay. What I want you guys to get out of that is you guys are still young. You guys still got to remember that life is about living for today. Okay. Too often, us as adults forget that life is still supposed to be fun. It's still supposed to be enjoyable. It's still supposed to be something that you want to do on a daily basis. Live life for the day, right? But we always got to remember that we got to prepare for tomorrow, whatever that tomorrow may bring. Okay. We got to make sure we're ready for a better tomorrow than we have today. And so, my reminder to you is yeah, live your life today, right? Go out and enjoy yourself. But always remember that we still got to prepare for what's in our future. Okay. So, that being said, let's see what we're going to talk about today. The question is, what do you want to do when you grow up? Oh my gosh, you probably heard that from adults a thousand million trillion times, right? Adults love to ask this question, especially when they're trying to get to know you. What do you want to do when you grow up, right? Or what do you want to be when you grow up? It's probably one of the most over asked questions of young people, right? And it might be one of the most boring questions for young people. Okay? So, does that question really even mean anything? I will tell you that adults like to hear unique career paths or career plans for young people, right? If I were to ask that, I would get a lot of people that say, I want to be a teacher, or I want to be a policeman, or a fire person, or maybe a doctor, right? But it's very rare that I get somebody say, "Oh, I want to be an astronaut," or I want to work for the United Nations, right? So we do love to hear those very strange, kind of unique career paths, right? Just because it tells us that there's something very special and unique about that person that's answering the question. Not to say that there's not something very special about the person that wants to be a doctor or a lawyer or a teacher, right? We all have something special inside of us, but sometimes it's cool to hear new answers to an old question, right? But don't really worry about that question because it doesn't limit you to what you're going to do for the rest of your life. If you say right now that I want to be a professional actor or I want to be an artist when I grow up, okay? That doesn't necessarily mean that that's what you're going to end up being, that's what you have to be, okay? Because to tell you the truth, most adults don't work in the same field that they wish they did when they were young, right? For me personally, I wanted to be a marine biologist. I wanted to study life in the sea, right, and life underwater. And that's not what I ended up doing. I'm so far from that, right? I'm never around the water right now. Okay. Uh, and to be honest with you, most adults don't even work in the field that they studied in college. Okay. So we go to college to do a certain thing, and a lot of us don't even end up in that field. Like if you end up studying accounting, right? You may not even work in an accounting firm. You may work in some kind of business, but maybe not in accounting. Okay. So, what is the purpose of even asking that question then? What do you want to do when you grow up, right? If it's just to hear a unique answer, yeah. But you know what? For us, the actual purpose for young people, I should say for you guys, because I'm not too young no more. The actual that actual question serves a purpose. It actually gets us to get started thinking about what we do like to do, right? And what we might want to do for the rest of our life. So it sparks our imagination, it sparks something in our head that gets us going and says, what would I want to do for the rest of my life? Okay. So that's the reason why that question is good. Not necessarily because you have to stick to the answer, or not necessarily because it's going to give you uh, the light at the end of the tunnel and something to work for. Okay. But it gets you beginning to start that thinking process of what you might want to do. Okay. So I have this little picture here. It says job versus career, right? And because a lot of us want a job, but we really don't know what the difference between job or career is. Okay. So in here, it kind of shows that a job is something you carry with you on your back. It might be heavy, it might be something that's pulling you down, right? But a career is something that helps you go up a ladder, helps you, it's something that you reach for, it's something that is above you that you're working for. Okay. So let's actually talk about what the difference between those two things are, okay? So a job and career have some things in common, okay? They both enabled us to earn some money to support ourselves and our families, hopefully, right? It's not always easy, especially here in San Diego, to earn enough money to support ourselves or our family, right? But if you get the right job and the right career, you definitely can support yourself and your family, okay? Most people will have a schedule to follow and have supervisors to report to, right? So if you get a job or a career, right, you probably have to be at work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or you're going to have some kind of schedule, right? Even if you work in like retail, which means in a business where they sell things, right? You might work on the weekends, but you'll still have a schedule, right? And you'll have some bosses. So that is something they both have in common. Most people will have to learn about what they do and are employed to do. Okay. Yep. If you get a job or a career, right, you're going to have to learn how to do it. Nobody is born with the ability to know how to be a cashier at Target or be an executive in Disney, right? Nobody knows that naturally. So we have to learn it, whether or not it's a job or a career. Okay. And most people will have to keep up with changes in the industry. So continuing education is a must. So whether you get a job or you have a career, okay, there are things that are going to change for you and for that position while you're working in there, and you're going to have to keep on top of that. For example, uh, even if you're a cashier at Target, right? You would think that, hey, once I learn how to be a cashier, what else do I have to learn, right? But the thing is, machines change, the way they process payments change, right? So you do have to keep up with your education, and some jobs send you to training, right? Careers usually send you to continuing training. Our teachers have to have training a couple times a month, just to basically stay up on all the new stuff that's going down with teaching. Okay. Most people have to work with others as team members or coworkers. That is true because there are very few jobs or careers on this planet where you're only working by yourself and nobody else is uh, part of your team. Okay. Maybe somebody that would be, let me see, who could work by themselves. There might be somebody that works underground all day, and is maybe working on a pipe or something. Okay. They might have to work by themselves, or they might even have to rely on other people to give them tools or get them air and water and stuff. So I don't know. There are very, very few jobs on this planet that you're working by yourself. So you're going to have to learn to work with other people and coworkers. Okay. So those are all things that both jobs and careers have in common. Now, the differences between what a job and a career is, let's go. On the left hand side, I have jobs, and on the right hand side, I have careers. Okay. So a job may be part time or full time, it can be short term or long term. Part time means anytime you're working less than probably 38 to 40 hours a week, right? So if you're working a shift at Subway every other day and you're only working 4 or 5 hours, that's part time, right? If you get up to work 8 hours or 9 hours a day for 5 days a week, that's full time. Okay. Now, most jobs would either be part time or full time, right? But in a career, it tends to be full time stuff. Okay. Careers tend to be, those are the things where you'll go 8 or 9 hours a day every day for 5 days a week. Okay. Now, in a job, there's short term or long term jobs. So they could hire you, say at Target to help them with all the Christmas rush, right? And then lay you off after that. Where a career is usually long term, they're hiring you to work with them for a very long while. Okay. A job generally has no contract. So a contract means that it's an agreement between you and the employer, right? And with no contract means here in California, they could fire you or you can quit whenever you want to or they want to. Okay. Where a career, you would most likely have a contract and they would probably pay you for 2 or 3 years or a year to make sure you stayed with them. Okay. In a job, you'll earn an hourly wage with minimal benefits. Benefits are things like vacation, are things like healthcare and eye care and dental and stuff like that. And if you were to ask your parents, you would know that benefits are sometimes worth more than what you make per hour. Okay, there's a lot of people that get good benefits that would cost them 60,000, 80,000 a year, and they don't even make that per hour. Okay, so in a job, you get hourly wage, right? So you make $15 an hour or whatever that is, but you might not get vacation. You might not get any medical or dental coverage, okay? Whereas a career, you'd have a contract, right? And you get something called a salary, which means that every month they're going to pay you the same amount of money, no matter how many hours you work. So you could work more than 40 hours a week or less than 40 hours a week, but they're still going to pay you the same, okay? And then you would get a lot of benefits packages, right? One of the great things about being a school counselor is I get great benefits, right? I get a bunch of time off. I get every day off that you guys get off, right? And so that is a great thing for me personally, right? They're paying me that much to get all those days off like you guys, okay? In a job, okay, we're going to go on to differences again, okay? In a job, you might need to learn some special skills, but most jobs don't require you to have a degree or an advanced education, right? Maybe you might need a high school diploma, uh, but most jobs aren't going to require you to have like a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, okay? That's where a career would come in, okay? Most careers will end up requiring at the very minimum a bachelor's degree, maybe a master's degree, maybe even a PhD, which would make you a doctor, okay? So you tend to have much higher salaries, which much better benefits in careers, okay? uh, Jobs come and go very often. So very often you'll quit a job or they'll fire you or something happened and you leave a job, right? And you go on to your next job. You may have a job for a year, you may have a job for 2 years, 3 or 4 months. It depends, okay? But careers tend to last a lifetime. So you go into a career knowing this is what I want to do for the rest of my life, okay? And the reason why I want to do it. And so you end up tending to work in the job of your career for 10, 15, 20 years, maybe 25 years if you're lucky. Okay. So, do you guys think a job or a career would be better for you? Right? So that answer, you're the only one can answer that, but it would be based on what you need in your life at the time. Okay. Now we went over some of the differences between a job and career. Are any of you think you're at this point in your life ready for a career? No, probably not, right? Most of you guys are just trying to figure out what you're going to eat later on this afternoon. But uh, you could start thinking about what you want to do for the rest of your life. Okay. So right now, a job may actually be better for you. Uh, so let's see. A job may help you work your way through college so you can end up in a career. Yeah, that's true. Most people, when they go to college, they get a job, okay, working at Subway or Target or wherever it is, so they can earn some money to be able to pay for school and pay their rent wherever they're living, buy books, and do all the other stuff that you need to do in life so that way you can earn your way through college, okay? A job may help you get experience in a field you're thinking about choosing as a career. That's very true. So if you're thinking about being a teacher, you might want to know what it's like to be a teacher a little bit before you commit to the rest of your life to be a teacher, right? So maybe you'll go to work and find a job as a teacher's aide, right? So somebody that goes into the classroom and helps a teacher work with young kids, and so you'd get that experience in figuring out, oh, do I want to do this for the rest of my life, or is this just too much work dealing with all the kids that are going to be yelling at me and throwing paper airplanes at me? Okay, so a job may be the networking you need to get into the career of your choosing. Do you guys know what networking is? Networking is when you talk to people and you build a relationship with them. And so maybe later on in life, they might actually help you with something. So if you get to know somebody really well and you introduce yourself and you talk and they get to know you, maybe later on when they need somebody in their office, right? They'd be able to call you and say, hey, do you need a job? Do you want a good paying salary, right? I got this opening that I think you would fit into very well. And so that's what networking is. When you apply for a job, there's a little saying that goes something like, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Okay. So that means it really isn't about how much education you have in the field that you're working in. It's really about if you know somebody that can get you hired. Okay. And I found that to be very true in our society. You don't have to be a genius in the field that you're working in uh, to get hired somewhere. All you have to do is know somebody that knows you. Okay. A job may be all the commitment you can make at a certain point in life. Okay. And so we talked about careers being something that you're going to be in for the rest of your life, and careers being something that may need a lot of education and a lot of time. Okay. But right now, maybe you don't have that much time. Maybe you only have a certain number of hours that you can work per week. Or you don't have the education yet that it would take you to have a career. Okay, or maybe you got a family that you need to help raise your little brothers and sisters, and so you can't put in that much time every day. Okay, so a job may be the best thing for you. So let's find out what do we do next. So you want to start working. Okay, now I know that at a kind of young age, everybody wants to start making money because they're tired of asking their parents for money and their parents telling them no. I was like that too. At 12, I wanted to start working, right? So I started my own little business of picking up dog poop from all the next door neighbors, right? I would go house to house and knock on their door and say, hey, do you need somebody to clean your dog poop up? I'll do it for $5, right? So yeah, it wasn't the best job in the world. I didn't like walking around and stepping in dog poop every once in a while, but when you're 12 years old and you want to buy your own hot Cheetos and have money in your pocket to be able to go to the movies or whatever it is, right? It's nice. So yeah, I did that for a while. But I wanted to tell you, right? Take your time, you guys. Most likely, most of you guys are going to be working for 60 years of your life. There's no need to rush into it. Okay. If you don't have to get a job, don't get a job. If you can work your way through college without having to get a job, and you can get somebody to pay you for college because you get somebody to help you with your financial aid, or you get a scholarship, do that. right? Don't rush into getting a job. Nobody wants to work. You could ask every one of your teachers and every one of your parents, right? Would you have rather waited and not started working when you did? And I bet you the majority of them would say, yeah, I'd rather have waited another 5 or 10 years before I had to start working. Okay. So don't rush into it. There's going to be enough time for you to be an adult and have bills for the rest of your life. Don't make haste right now. Okay. If you need to work, you legally can't work until you're at least 14 years old. Okay. So the state of California has what they call uh, minor employment law. Okay, so which means that 14 is the youngest you could possibly be uh, before you can get a job, and then they have certain regulations where you can't work, for example, during school hours because you're supposed to be in school, right? Or you can't work past 9:30 at night because you need time to be able to sleep so you can go to school the next day. Okay, or you can't work more than I believe it's 28 hours a week. So there are a bunch of rules and laws that you have to live by if you want to work. Okay. But at 14 years old, yes, you can legally get a job. Okay. There aren't a whole lot of places that will hire you at 14, but if you can find somebody that's going to hire you at 14, you can legally work at 14. Okay. You have to go to your school and get your school to sign what they call a work permit. Okay, which means, hey, this kid is doing good enough in his grades and he looks responsible enough that we can allow him to go to work and trust that he's not going to slip too far in his academic progress. Okay. So that's what you need to think about when you're thinking about, hey, do I want to work? Don't I want to work? What's the deal? Okay. So I put this in here because I know a lot of young people are their family is the first thing in their mind, and their family helping their family is the thing that they want to do the most, right? Because our parents sacrifice a lot for us, and so we really love our parents and we really appreciate our parents, and we want to be able to work to help them so they don't want to so they don't have to work so hard, right? I know that for a lot of us growing up that's our first priority. But I want to remind you, okay, this is one of my favorite sayings, and this is something that I think I came up with, but I'm not absolutely sure. Okay, I put you can't be anything for anyone until you're something for yourself. Meaning, you can't help your parents or you can't help your family, okay, until you help yourself. Uh, which is a very true statement. Okay, the best way to help your family is help yourself, be in a position where you can actually help them, right? Because if you go out and get a job at 14, do you think you're going to make a whole lot of money to be able to come back and bring your family a bunch of money to be able to help them? Probably not. You're going to be able to make enough money to pay your cell phone, maybe. Okay. You'll be able to make enough money to buy a new pair of shoes every once in a while. But at 14, you're not going to be able to make too much to be able to help your family. One of the other best things you could do is you could be a role model to your younger siblings. Okay. They look up to you. And so if they see that school is important to you and that you're doing everything you possibly can to do good in school, they're going to look at that and they're going to say, oh, I want to be like Jeff, or I want to be like Mary. Okay. And so they're going to want to be like you and they're going to want to do what you're doing. And you can encourage your older siblings to be what we call proactive. That means doing something for themselves before they have to. Okay. So going out and getting their education, or going out and doing some networking, that kind of stuff. Okay. Um, the most important thing is, and your number one and only job right now is to stay in school and get the best possible education that you can. Right. Staying in school is right now is the only way that you're gonna do any good for your family. Once you graduate from high school, you guys all get to make the choice on whether you want to go to college or you want to do something else for the rest of your life. Okay. But right now, the law says that you have to be in school until you're 18 or until you graduate. Okay. So if you do have to be here, we might as well make the best of it, and we might as well get the best education we possibly can, so that way later when you decide what you want to do, you have the tools it takes to get it done. Okay. uh, and then you can get somebody to pay you for your passions. Okay. That's what a career is about. A career is about finding a passion that you have and getting somebody to pay you for it. I've always had the passion to work with young people, so I wanted to get a job where I could work with young people on a daily basis, and being a school counselor is that, right? So I have a passion to be a school counselor and help young people. And fortunately, Darnell is willing to pay me to help, right? And so it's a dream job for me. It's something that I love to do, and honestly, I would do it even if they didn't pay me. But I'm so glad that they pay me so I can do it. Okay. Here's a bit of homework for you guys all. Okay. This is something that I know I'm going to ask of you guys, and I'm going to challenge you guys to do it. And I'll check back in to see if you guys actually do it. Okay. I want you to go have a little conversation with your parents. You can do it one on one with your mom or your dad separately, or if you live with both of them, you can see if you can get them both together at the same time. Or even if you live with a grandparent and they're the only ones that are taking care of you. Okay. Whoever's watching out for you, whoever's taking care of you, whoever you consider mom or pop. Okay. I want you to sit down with them and you ask them a few questions. I want you to ask your parents first if they're happy doing what they do for a living. Okay. Or do they just do it because it pays the bills? So, mom, are you really happy working at wherever you work at? Dad, are you happy being a construction worker? Okay. Whatever it is, ask them if they're happy doing it. Or are they doing it just because it pays the bills and helps to be able to keep a roof over your head and food on the table, like they say? Okay. Now, if your parents are happy with how they're employed, right? I want you to ask them, how did they decide that that's what they wanted to do for a living? So, did one day they wake up and say, hey, you know what? I want to do construction for the rest of my life. I like being outdoors and I like building things. Or, you know what? I wanted to be a doctor for the rest of my life. I wanted to help people. Okay. So find out if your parents are happy doing what they do, and then ask them if they are happy, how did they decide to do that thing for the rest of their life? Okay. Now, for those of you who have parents that say, no, I'm not really happy with what I do, I want you to ask them what would they rather be doing if they were given the opportunity. Okay, so what would they, what would the other career that they really wanted to do be? So for me, if I couldn't be a school teacher, I mean a school counselor, I'd probably want to work with young people in gang infested neighborhoods and drug infested neighborhoods, which I started out doing, and I really used to love doing that. Okay, so you guys know what the difference between a job and a career is now. Okay, later on during this month, we're going to talk a little bit about how to choose a career. Okay, we're going to do something called an aptitude test, which basically is a bunch of series of questions that ask us what we like to do and what we don't like to do, and it helps us to pick out maybe a job or a career that would be good for us based on what our likes are, okay, and our dislikes. So for now, I got that little test for you. That's all I need you. I mean, that little homework assignment. That's all I need you guys to do. Okay, have that little conversation with your parents. Until then, be safe. Wash your hands. Wear your mask, and keep your distance from people you don't know. Okay. See you later, Donnell.